Move away from one of the big court stories of the day and go across to one of the biggest political stories, no doubts, of the past few weeks. The UDM is now calling for an inquiry into the robbery at the president's farm in Limpopo. It's despite the president saying he's done nothing wrong. Then on the political forefront, Ramaphosa's ally in Limpopo, Stan Matebata, has retained his position as ANC regional chair. Professor Siepe joining us this afternoon. Hello to you, Prof. Good to have you with us. So let's start, if we can, for a moment with the UDM calling for the president to go on sabbatical while the National Assembly investigates this. I spoke to Bonto Holomisa a little earlier today. What do you make of that statement?
Well, he is simply expressing how serious the issues are. Remember, we are a country of laws, and the issue that emerges from this saga is a possibility of the president having failed his office, a president who may have violated a number of laws. Already, the most obvious that people have raised and opposition parties have raised is the Prevention of Corruption and Corrupt Activities Act, which requires or obligates all people who are holding official positions to report any crime. And if you fail to report that crime, you are guilty of an offense. So here we have a revelation that suggests that the president was aware that was theft, but we don't seem to have any docket, we don't seem to have any reporting. And the president's response has not been helpful. For instance, his notion that says he had never taken anybody's money. This is not what people have actually said. They are simply saying, why have you not reported the crime? And also the argument that he says, I did not want to cause panic. It's not adequate for most people, because some could argue that it was his responsibility to report that crime, also to alert other farmers that these things are happening so that they can actually prepare themselves. So the more the president responds, the more he seems to entangle himself. Then there is also the issue of the amount of money in foreign currency. The people like Holomisa are also saying, we also want to look at that, whether having that kind of money in foreign currency does not amount to violation of our own laws in terms of custom acts and also the SARS provisions. So that is one of the issues. And also whether, because this is an income of sorts, whether that has been reported to SARS. So this will require a very intensive investigation. So his suggestion is that the president cannot be doing his job while he's actually faced with these issues. And there's also a constitutional issue that is raised by people like Holomisa and others to say a president is not expected to be having any other paid income or work, but it is more around work. And the issue is he cannot be seen to have been in a situation where there's a conflict between his private interest and that of office. And that is spelled out in the Constitution. So all these things will require almost an intervention and inquiry. But what Holomisa is also saying is that Parliament must come in because it is Parliament that holds the executive account. But also he's raising concerns around the police, because the police themselves seem to have been part of the cover-up and also the state security. So all these issues are beginning to come out. Hence the idea that the president should take leave, but that would be something that will be decided by the party and also the president, whether he would allow a situation to say, given that I've got nothing to hide, let me get investigated. But simply to say, I'll cooperate, it depends who are you cooperating with.
So it's been a very difficult few days as far as the president and his farm is concerned. I suppose, Prof, that the only good thing for the president over the past few days as ANC president is his ally in Limpopo, Stan Matebata, retaining ANC regional chair. I suppose it's one piece of good news for the ANC president.
Well, I think the president of the ANC is very comfortable about the second term. There is an advantage that comes with being an incumbent. First, you have more airtime because people want to hear what comes from the president of the country. Secondly, is that the ANC had not declared the whole process of elections. And the more they delay, it gives the president an advantage. But what you see here is that he has already done spade work. He has the support of Luchila House. I mean, if we were to talk about factions, Luchila House has been reduced to simply a faction of Ramaphosa. So he holds that structure. Then he also has a control of the NEC. So effectively, he can influence who ultimately gets into the elective conference. But what is clear is that he has a number of provinces on his side. You have Eastern Cape, you have Limpopo, you have Mpumalanga, and even in some of this, you find that in Northern Cape, people who are even on both sides, they seem to be agreeable that he should go for the second term. So he has a far greater support politically. Politically, it will be very difficult for him to be unseated. But what might weaken him will be the legal processes that may come in, where, as people say, and he himself has put it, that if you are charged, you need to step aside. The question is, will he be willing to step aside? And what Holomesa is doing is simply to complicate that process.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be fascinating to keep an eye on as well. Professor, thank you as always for joining us. So it seems that been a mixed bag for the president of the ANC in the country over the past few days. But Professor Sipho Siepe joining us here on All Angles this afternoon.